Scott, let's talk about Everton a little bit because we have spoken about City, and I do want to touch on one player, which is Branthwaite. And guys, Matt Hobbs, Jeff Shee, please just go and put in like a £40 million bid for this guy
Yeah,
because
yeah,
he
he's
is
fantastic.
unreal. We're going to talk about Everton's struggles, especially going forward. They've got a few injuries, yes, but this guy, apart from the goal, I mean, he got absolutely bullied by Haaland, but Haaland is a robot, as I think someone said here. Yeah, he had a good game, but got bullied by a robot. He did, but this Branthwaite, that's the only positive I can see from Everton this season.
It
Maybe
said it
Pickford
all,
as
did
well,
it?
but
About Haaland, the fact that like he just managed to bully a
I know.
6'4" bloke that,
Bullied him.
yeah.
Bullied him. God, he sent him to the ground like he was me. Like
Do you reckon that's
unreal.
where? Do you reckon that's where Everton maybe have a bit of a in the summer? It feels like they need to probably sell to manage FFP. I'd imagine because of how much
Well,
are on the backs. Is that the player they're going to get the good money for? Because I think he's only a young player as
yeah.
well, isn't he? Especially for a centre back.
What did Man City get for Stones? And this is about what, 8, 9 years ago now? Did they get about 45, 50 million back in the day?
I
Because
think
he's
it
a
was
lot
about
older than people
50,
think.
weren't it? Yeah,
I
he's
think it
only
was a lot of
21,
money.
Braithwaite.
And Stones was only about 21, 22, if not maybe a
Yeah.
little bit younger. Let us know in the comments. But I think this kid could literally be the next big thing in the Premier League because you've got to be honest, the Premier League's um not filtered out with good centre backs at the moment. It's just not like it used to be anyway. I think this guy is the next big thing. And to answer your question, him and Pickford are probably going to have to be the players, whether they
Yeah,
go down or
very
not,
well.
to balance the books. Because between them, you could probably get 70, 80 million. You're probably going to get 30 million for Pickford, aren't you?
I think even at his
Maybe.
age you will do, yeah, because I think he's a very
Yeah.
solid keeper. I mean, the amount of saves he makes. I know
Think
people kind of banter him because he has his
good with his
moments,
feet as
but
well. Well, he has cut out those mistakes, not as much as he
yeah,
used to. He's good with his feet. I think for the next 4 or 5 seasons, you're going to get a dependable goalkeeper. So let's say 30 mil, maybe 40, depending on the club. And then this Branthwaite, God, did they get 60, 70 mil for him?
yeah,
If Van
definitely.
Dijk was 70 mil six
That's a
years
good
ago,
point.
then
Yeah.
you
I
just don't know. But you wanted to talk about them going forward because they've been dross. They've been dross.
Well, in fact, I also wanted to speak about the fact, mate, that like Everton, currently sitting on 19 points. Now they have technically the players
Mm,
themselves earned 29 points, which at the time of recording this would put them in 13th position. So not a team that should be battling relegation. But you look at the
shouldn't
last
be.
7 performances now, I think it is in the Premier League without a win. I also wanted to discuss whether Everton could be a team that could go down because as I say, they've technically earned 29 points. And what they might have is the fact that there's rumours that they might get 3 of those deducted points back. But their recent form really has shown that they are technically in a relegation fight at the moment.
Just got to laugh at the incompetency of the Premier League. Like we're gonna give you extra charges, additional charges along with Forest, but there is a chance we might give you some
You
points
might
back
get you
as
might get some back.
just just don't say anything. Just don't say anything until you've got the facts. It just annoys me. Just
Nobody
don't say anything.
And nobody knows when those second charges are going to come either, which I find very weird. Is it going to
No,
be this season? Is it going to be the next season? Nobody really knows. And obviously,
no.
you feel like Dyche and the players need to know as well. Because like if they're going to get deducted another 5 points on top of like the 10, and I get that it gets dragged out because of legal battles, etc., etc. But it is a huge thing, especially when Everton find themselves where they are in the table at the moment. But I think
I agree.
you could speak about how good Everton look defensively, and they definitely do, mate. But one thing I want to speak about with Everton, which I really worry for, is the fact that again, looking at this bad run, the last 7 games, they've actually only scored 4 goals in those games, and 2 of those
Yeah.
goals came against Tottenham. Are they going to have the goal power up front to keep them up this season? Because other teams are finding goals. In fact, it's been the highest. We're en route for the highest scoring Premier League of all time, aren't we?
We
So I
are.
do worry for them a little bit. I mean, of course, Luton not getting that win against Sheffield United was absolutely huge for them. But in the other way, it's kind of gave Sheffield United and Burnley. They're still they're kind of creeping it slowly back into the mix as well.
It's a difficult one for Everton because you are right, they're not scoring goals. What was it, 4 goals in 7 games?
Yeah,
But on the flip side of that, I think if you add in the FA Cup win they had over Crystal Palace, I want to say it was the third round win. If you include that, I think they've had 3 clean sheets from their last 7 games. And I think Villa are in there. And
and
I
that's
want
huge
to
as well.
say that's huge. I think it was Villa,
Fulham, they got the clean sheet against
Fulham,
Fulham,
and I think that was a 0-0. That was a good display from them. So,
and they did
and
well
they're not
against
getting
City
battered
as
by
well.
teams.
Yeah,
They're not getting battered by teams. They got a 2-2 draw with Spurs. I think they only conceded 2 against Man City, held out for 70 minutes. Like Everton aren't getting beat 5 and 6 like we're seeing other teams. So they I know they can't get a striker in January, but I think if they'd have got a little, just even someone that could have got 5 or 6 goals in January for the end of the season, they could have shot up this table quite quickly. Because
yeah,
defensively,
I
they look
agree.
all right.
Agree.
They do look all right.
It,
We were
so,
talking off air before the stream about how it can't get any better for Everton, and I said, because I watched a video yesterday about I think the club released a video, an updated video on the new stadium, and it looks fantastic. I must say, I really am looking forward to visiting it one day. And I said, Scott, it doesn't look ready for next season. There's a lot of
no, no,
seats empty. They've built nothing. And then you went, yeah, it's been extended until next season. I'm like, oh man,
because I'm
again.
sure it was originally
God,
supposed to be this season, but like this season or the next one, it was
I
happening.
thought
But
it
it's the
was.
one after now. They said they're going to complete the
God.
work by the end of 2024, which means it's going to be ready for. Because I'm guessing maybe they can't move stadiums halfway through a season.
Mm.
So yeah, I think it has maybe fell a season later, but. Just going back to the good point that Zane has made in the chat as well, talking about how bad is Beto.
Oh God.
I mean, the
I
bloke,
mean,
I found him interesting against Manchester City watching him yesterday because one, he had 2 offside chances, and the easy one, which was a 1-on-1, he absolutely scuffed it. And then the hard chance he had, I
read
found
it.
that really he actually finished that one, and I think that's where the trouble lies. And you look at who they had starting in attack as well yesterday. I appreciate maybe they went a little bit more defensive minded because of who they were playing, but Ashley Young, Jack
Yeah.
Harrison, McNeil, and Calvert Lewin leading the line. I
It's
don't feel I'm being harsh
it's
here, mate, but I look at that and there's nothing that excites me about it. There's not a player that's going to get you up or off your feet. And
no.
maybe if you add a Wobie back into that team, although he's a bit hit and miss, maybe they then do have a little bit of something that's an
Well,
interest. But, you know,
um, sorry, Iwobi's at Fulham, innit? You mean a Decore?
not a Wobie, Decore. Yeah, yeah.
Decore. Yeah, he's their goal scorer. But it's funny, man. You read that front line out. Jack Harrison, Ashley Young, Calvert Lewin. It's just you don't want to see that on a team sheet when you go into a Premier League game, do you? And Seamus Coleman, he's still playing, kicking about. It's just
Coleman.
yeah, it's
Onana, it weren't Decore, sorry, it was Onana I was bloody thinking of. I like
Onana.
him. He's an exciting player. I think he's a real box to box player that can really get
Yeah, yeah.
forward and add a lot. And of course, he did come off the bench yesterday, but yeah, they're definitely missing a lot up front. But as you said,
I'll give them a chance now after the Luton game. I'll give them a chance. I'll give them a
yeah, I
chance
think
to
I
stay
think
up.
it,
If
it could have been
if
really
Luton
hard,
won,
couldn't it?
if Luton won yesterday, they'd have been 4 points clear. And then you've got Forest on 21 points, and then Palace on 24 as well. That loss by Luton, which no one saw coming, no home against Sheffield United. I mean, that's a big point, turning point in Everton's season. That really, really is.
It is, and I'm looking at the run, mate, just to go through it. So obviously next Monday, I think this is a huge, huge must-win game. They've got Goodison Park. They've got to take on Crystal Palace at Goodison. But after that, you've got Brighton away, West Ham at home, Man United, who, let's be honest, Man United have been picking up form lately. And then you go to the Merseyside derby.
Wow.
You could
Well,
see them
they
only getting 4, maybe even 3 points out of that, in all honesty.
can you? I mean, listen, it's still the Premier League. They could pick up a result
Yeah,
against Brighton.
exactly.
We saw
Yeah.
we saw Brighton. Was it last weekend? They lost 4-0 to someone. Luton. No,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
battered Brighton last week? So
It was
it
Luton,
can
wasn't
happen
it?
in the
Yeah.
Prem. It was Luton. These results can happen in the league, but yeah, Brighton, West Ham, Man U, and Liverpool. That's but what's more likely? They get 0 points from those 4 games, or even three. I'm not. I don't want to be disrespectful to Everton fans because as Wolves fans, we've been there in the past. But I think it's more likely they maybe get 1 point than a win or
Mate,
three
I'm looking at
draws. They
Goodison.
could find themselves towards the end of this month, beginning of March. They could find themselves 5 or 6 points off the off safety.
They could, but I think the optimistic fans would be saying, look, the Crystal Palace game, Everton are at home. Even West Ham, they're at
Yeah,
Goodison. We know how big Goodison can be for them. And again, even the Merseyside derby, it's not going to be an easy game and it'll be a must win
if
for
you
Liverpool, but they are at home at least. So, you know,
yeah
I think that's where the optimism might come from Everton fans. Just to finish off talking about Everton, mate, if
yeah.
you did have to predict now by the end of the season, are Everton going to finally face the drop, or is it going to be a typical Everton that's going to be a relegation battle, but they're
Yeah.
going to manage to survive?
First of all, I do want to say that I do actually hope they stay in the league. I think they're one of those
Big
teams
team.
that should be in the Premier League. I just don't. Sometimes you try and vision something like, will I ever see England hold the World Cup, or will I ever see this? I can't vision in my mind's eye. I can't see Everton's badge in the champion.
Yeah,
It just
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
compute to me. I
Yeah.
just don't think it will ever happen. It's just one of those things. But we said it about Villa. People said it about Leeds. So you just never know. But I think they'll be okay. I think they do it. I
Yeah,
think they'll do
I
it.
have to agree, and I think it's going to be very dependent on the point situation. Because if they get three back and face no more charges, then they're in a really good position. If they don't get
I
those
agree.
3 points back and they get more points deducted, then they're in real trouble. So it's not easy being an Everton
They are.
fan at the moment.